Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying he was 2 of 40 from the field.
Corner, son.
And I was like, 2 of 40 from the field? Stop shooting, Giannis.
All right, guys, it is official. Ben McAdoo's key card stopped working yesterday. Can't get into the building, can't coach the team. The Giants, in a very anti-Giants move, fired McAdoo and GM Jerry Reese Monday morning. And after all the controversy, the team is now expected to turn back to Eli Manning Sunday against the Cowboys. At least none of this is messy. Here's the owner, John Mara, on the decision.
Where we are as a franchise right now, we're 2-10. We've kind of been spiraling out of control here. I just felt like we needed a complete overhaul. I don't think there was any one event or one final act that precipitated that.
How much did the whole Eli situation play into everything?
Really had no effect whatsoever. 2-10 is 2-10, and obviously the public reaction to that was not pleasant, but that really didn't have any effect on our decision.
That's putting it ridiculously mildly. Cece, who really deserves the most of the blame here for what happened this Giants season?
Well, that's a good question. Who deserves the most blame? I think that when you fire the head coach and the general manager, you're doing what John Mara, and first of all, I have to say this. John Mara to me, is one of the most respected owners that there is in the National Football League. It's a reason his family and the way they run the team and other organizations like the Steelers, the Crafts, the reason why the league is really special. Because they really care about the game, and more importantly, they really care about the people inside their organization. And that's what the Giants have always done. Several weeks ago on this show, Jenna was like, McAdoo's got to go. Nick Wright was like, shouldn't let him back in the building. Cris Carter was like, listen, this is not what the people do. This is not the way the family manages their business. But now seeing, you got to blame everyone. The general manager, he's to blame because he picked the groceries. He also hired the head coach. Also, the players that aren't playing well, he took those. So the general manager, he had to go. Jerry Reese, he had to go, numero uno. Ben McAdoo, we decided that he's a good offensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach. So he had to go. So the only way they can correct this is also they'll look at some players' contracts this offseason that they've paid a lot of money to, as they go about this refacing the New York Giants. Yeah. I believe some of these players in their tenure with the New York Giants, it will be terminated. So you got general manager, you got the head coach, and you got the players. And you have Mr. Mara, who swallowed his pride yesterday and got up there on the mic and assumed responsibility for all this. He said, yes, the coach did talk to me about Eli, but I thought Eli might accept it. Yeah. See, what backfired on him was Eli, he turned on him. Eli was like, no more all shucks Eli. This is like, y'all embarrass me. No, I'm not going out there. Y'all need to start Geno Smith. He wasn't expecting the streak to stop, so they weren't expecting the public backlash. They were fine with seeing the other players, but they hadn't thought about what the repercussions. So everyone, Mr. Marr, he assumed responsibility because he knew about the Eli benching. So it's at 4 different levels: the ownership, the general manager, the head coach, and you can't leave the scene without blaming those players because their tape is out there.
So, all right, let me talk about the owner first here. This is a self-inflicted wound by the Giants. This was a lost season a month ago. They could have avoided all of the controversy surrounding their quarterback had they done what most teams would have done, which is after you get blown out by the Rams, or at the very least after you fall to 1-7 against the Niners, you fire your head coach. Then Eli's never benched. So that's, first of all, where the owners are culpable. The second place the owners are culpable is if 2-10 is fireable, when you actually competed this week, what you're really saying is what happened with Eli is fireable, then do this last week when McAdoo comes to you with it, unless you really are reacting to the media and public reaction. So that's where the owners blew this as well, as respected as that Mara and Tish's are. The general manager that you mentioned. Listen, since 2004 when Jerry Reese took over, the Giants have the 4th fewest starts of any team in the league amongst players they've drafted. So he's not drafting the right players. Obviously, the offense, 31st in points per game, 28th in yards per game. They're bad in everything on offense. You have an offensive head coach, so obviously it's on the head coach as well. But I'm going to add one other name to this that has now been the martyr of this situation. And that's not just the players at large. It's Eli Manning. He's been bad this year, really bad this year. And let me just say, here are the worst teams in the league. What do they all have in common? I'm going to leave the Giants out for now. The Bears, the Colts, the Broncos, the Niners, the Browns. Either starting a rookie quarterback or you don't have a quarterback. You know who's smack dab in the middle of that? The New York Football Giants. So I know everyone is empathizing with Eli. Eli's the guy that everyone feels badly for this week. But you don't get to 2-10.
I didn't feel bad for him. I said players are going... Eli's getting ready to lose his job. Eli getting ready to pay a heavy price. So I don't think that what I tried to explain was any type of empathy for Eli. So I don't think everyone has great empathy for Eli.
I felt like last week everyone was feeling badly for Eli.
Well, he shouldn't have been benched. For Geno Smith, like, no one can justify that.
Especially now that they're going to turn around and start him again. It's not like Geno was the answer.
If they're going to go with Webb, like, yeah, I can understand approaching later in the season. Eli's streak should have kept going on. So no one's feeling bad just because they stopped the streak. Eli, he took control of the situation and stopped the streak himself. So Eli, this is it for Eli with the Giants. So thinking that the players aren't going to pay the price, I don't think that's right. There are players that will not be playing for the New York Giants, and Eli Manning is one of those.
I don't believe for one second that the Eli situation did not factor into John Mara's decision. I think what they easily could have done was let no one between John Mara and everyone else in that circle thought for a second that Eli was not going to go with the plan to keep his streak alive and then to just not play in the second half. No one thought that. And when that happened, the second thing no one in that organization thought was that the backlash was going to be as large and as engulfing and as league-wide as it was.
And it's important to them.
Of course.
It's important to them.
Image is very important to this organization.
Yes.
What they wanted to do was let Eli finish up the season, then get rid of the general manager and the coach at the end of the season, and then most likely deal with Eli Manning, which is what they should have done all at the end of the season. They created a big mess for themselves. They put a gigantic Band-Aid on, and now it's kind of just like hanging off there a little bit because nothing's really been solved, and the image has been tarnished.
Absolutely.
Well, I think because of their overall history, it's easy. If you make the right hire, the Giants will be back right where they were.
All right, we will discuss this throughout the rest of the show, but coming up, the latest, strangest twist. Wait till you hear this.